To you by Awards Unlimited. Personalized product, personalized service.
Hi there, welcome back to the Overthink Tank. I'm Laurie Borle and we have Gil Allen here to talk about hat inappropriate places, inappropriate times. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, a lot of us love our hats. Mm-hmm. Some of us are chapeau crazy. And I'm kind of one of them. I love my hats. But there's a time and a place for all things. And one of my pet peeves is people wearing their hats when it's inappropriate. Okay. You know, like, and some people say that's maybe old-fashioned thinking, but you didn't wear your hat in church. As soon as you went into that building, you removed your hat. You put it up on a shelf or something that was designed for it, or on a hook, or what have you. Mm-hmm. A real big pet peeve for me is in restaurants, dining.
Oh, okay.
Now, we live in a winter city, so restaurants should have places for you to hang your overcoat, your parka. We deal with some pretty inclement weather, and they should have a place for you to hang your hat. And a lot of them don't, which I think is that's another whole episode we could do on mistakes restaurants are making in terms of accommodating us customers.
Right.
But you should never be eating with a hat on your head. You know, there's times for that. I have seen people leave their hats or caps on when there's the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, I don't agree with that one.
So, you know, what we're just talking about is, again, civility, giving dignity where dignity should be.
Gil, do you think maybe a little bit is boomer versus future generations to come? I hear a lot about the kids are wanting to wear their hats all the time because it's part of their identity. It's part of their outfit that they wear when they go out. But what you're talking about here is, you know, you're going to church, you're taking that hat off. But going to the restaurant also taking a hat off?
Well, it's protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the, I didn't serve in the military, but I know that a lot of the protocols regarding headgear came from the military and were passed to civilians.
Right.
You know, but there's also some practicalities to it, like on the farms and ranches. As soon as you came in, you've been outside all day, and a hat has a purpose. Mm-hmm. It's for protection. It's to keep the climate off of your body, the rain, the sun, the snow, what have you. Even wind protection. You know, it keeps you warm, or it keeps you cool,
or clean,
or clean
on the farm.
And that was the big thing, is you're in and around animals and livestock and, you know, hay, and hats tend to get quite dirty. Cow pies. So you take that hat off at the door as soon as you come in. You didn't wear it in the house, and you sure didn't throw it on the dining table.
No.
You know,
no. You would hang it on a hook. No.
You would hang it on a hook. There were places for these things. So it's not just a fashion accessory, but as a result, we now have protocols, and it's a sign of respect to the people around you. Mm-hmm. You know, it says I care enough about what we're all doing collectively, and I care enough to be in your presence, so I want to, be respectful. When a gentleman met a lady, we used to remove our hats.
Aww.
Right? And then eventually it became a tip of the hat, or even a touch of the hat.
Was that like when they're saying hello?
Hello, right? So those protocols, have kind of fallen to the wayside, sadly. Mm-hmm. But the idea of being in the presence of a lady was to present your best self. So you removed a working garment, for the respect of that lady. And women, of course, they wore head covering for modesty reasons,
right,
more than the practicality of some kind of work.
Right.
So
I wonder though too if maybe they also wore back in the day, like let's think on Little House on the Prairie days, right? They were also wearing for practicality.
Oh,
I suppose,
yes.
right?
In those cases, they
keeping
did.
the hair out of the.
Out of the food you were cooking, or I mean, they were also out dealing with animals too.
Right.
You know, a lot of women would be out milking the goats or feeding the chickens or what have you, and the bonnet would protect them from anything, you know, negative in their hair,
Oh, for
keeping them
sure.
clean. So same sort of thing.
I have a question for you, Gil.
Okay.
Okay. You, the older and wiser of the two of us.
Well, older anyway.
Well, you've definitely got a lot of wisdom here, I tell you. I learn so much from you every time we talk. Where does it come from where, say for example, in church many years ago, where the men would take their hats off, but the women would have their bonnets on? Or they never had to remove their...
I think a lot of that came from the agrarian situation, because hats very much became a working garment, just like work gloves or rubber boots or you know that kind of thing. Because originally, if you look at people who attend temple in the Jewish faith, the men cover their heads.
Yes, they do.
They
That's
wear
right.
a yarmulke, or they have a prayer shawl, or they cover their heads out of respect for that faith group. So it was, you know, in the Christian and Catholicism line of things, where the whole we gotta get rid of the headgear. I really think that just came from an agrarian society. So,
Okay. I was just
these
curious.
are just dirty. These are just dirty hats in a rough time. So get them off your head.
Right.
But you know, you never went to anyone's home in times past and kept your hat on. You know, as soon as you broke the threshold, as soon as you stepped into the house, your hat came off. You may not put it, you may just simply hold it, but you would never be in somebody's house and talk with them and leave your hat on.
Right,
You know?
right.
And so, civility, man, that's all we're
Civility
talking
it
about.
is,
Civility,
exactly.
let's bring it back.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really glad that the women don't have to take their hats off, because once I put a hat on, that's it for the hair. And
I never get hat hair.
I wonder why. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for being on the show again today. And I
My
also
pleasure.
want to thank Awards Unlimited, because that's why we're here. Thank you for sponsoring us.
Love these travel mugs.
So do I. Oh. Hey, cheers. Etiquette here.
Cheers. And
Thank you so
apologies.
much. And we'll see you again on the Overthink Tank.